It's broke down, huh? Okay. Are we ready? Yes, we are. Now, I want to get into a stronger segment of this whole understanding of why the Lakota independence is very important for the remaining three nations that are on the struggle to continue their existence. And I'm talking about the Lakota, the Cheyenne, and the Arapaho. To give note, there is a critical understanding about a note, and however, that under the international law, the recognition as a state, it is not precondition, okay, to statehood. Precondition. Now, annually, when you look at the existence of how new states and the legal consequences attached to the existence of how they, are utilizing the effects. This is not a true understanding, because by refusal to recognize by one, more, or states, one of the understandings that is very, very, complexual, because people always think that everything is transparent. They believe in transparency. Well, recognition is merely declaratory, okay? That concept alone, in fact, that the United States may refuse formally to recognize the Sioux Nation as an independent state. But, number one, as an independent and sovereign state, these things, they do not change. In fact, it still exists. Over the years, I've seen so much things that were crucial for our people's, right to exercise the Lakota, providence of their independence. And so the historical facts that establish how America's treatment towards First Nations people, better known as the Sioux Nation, as an independent and sovereign state, the Lakota Nation has always arguably possessed the qualities of an independent and a sovereign state, way back, clear date to the arrival of the first colonists in 1492. And so when we look back to the history and the courses of how these laws were implemented, number one, you will see that the capacity of the Lakota Nation, better known in white man's dialogue transcripts, it was about the Sioux Nation versus the United States of America. And the Lakota Nation possessing, its permanent population by defining its mutual territories. Here's a prime example where the land base is structured already on top of the American flag. Why is it on top of the American flag? Because the Lakota, the Cheyenne, and the Arapaho took that flag away from them on the field of battle. So this goes to show that they're still violating the laws at an international level. They're still under occupation. But none of the nations want to contest the validity to that. But the Lakota are the only ones still exercising its intent to force the federal government to recognize the existence of the freedom of independence vested on their sovereignty through a matriarchal system. Now, it frustrates me that a lot of the defined territories, they were kind of identifiable by the enemies through the European colonists. And if you see certain laws, even in the book scriptures of France and England and North America, and these certain statutes of law are implemented in their law books. Furthermore, it isn't apparent that the structure of the Sioux political and social life that the government existed over the population of this territory as a history that prolonged its existence, the United States of America establishes that the Sioux had the capacity to engage in, and did in fact engage in, foreign relationships with other states. And this is predated when they said that we were at war with other nations. Nah, not true. Indigenous populations never killed one another. It was a quest for survival, so we had implementations of sharing our understandings with other nations. And that evidence still exists. Now, for the better part of the Lakota Nation, when it consists of the Teton groups of Sioux, many people don't understand that the ancient philosophy deeming to our existence was called Tretuan Oyate. Nowadays they broke it down and they called Ocheti Shakoin because of the 7 sacred sister bands under a matriarchal system. And so now that the 7 council fires, which is described in Edward Lazarus's book called The Black Hills and White Justice, and if you read those excerpts of that, it'll define that characteristic. And so we're going back into the time when Red Cloud's War was very prevalent, Sitting Bull, Crazy Horse, Rain in the Face, Gaul, No Ears, all these great ones that took, the flag away from them on the field of battle. And to this God-forsaken day, we're still being persecuted. So let's get back into one final understanding to this. If we can identify ourselves by creating our own recognizable domain as a Lakota nation itself, you would have the fits of a category that will meet the requirements to have all the other sister bands assert that independence, because now freedom is still alive. And so when you read the laws and excerpts that were given to us by the colonists and how they raped the whole concept of it, don't take these words very personally, because the language vested upon European thinking was vested on acronyms. And so when I use the term rape, they make them bigger, so it confuses people. That's why people become contrary to understand what is written. And so when we further discuss this understanding about our independence, American Indian treaties, in a modern constitutional law understanding, we have to take notable treaty clauses that give us the ability to exercise them with its full sovereign power. Case closed. And this is how this story becomes evidence that we need to exercise ourselves as a free and an independent nation, as Lakota people.